Here's what I would do.
If you're not watching everything, it means nothing.
The large print giveth, and the small print taketh away.
You, sir, are an idiot.
You guys are talking about Maven from Tough Enough, right? What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Royal Ramble. WrestleMania week is behind us. I'm sorry. Got Steve New in the studio. Made it back from New York, man.
Woo! Yes, sir.
Did you have a good time?
Good time doesn't do justice. What I experienced. 15 hours of live wrestling, plus hanging out with wrestlers after the show, plus WrestleCon during the days.
Save that. We'll dive into that shortly.
Sir. Yes,
Brian
sir.
Resner, hanging out in Fort Myers, Florida. How you doing, brother?
Doing good, man. How are you?
I'm good, man. Got my buddy Steve back in the studio with me. You're here with me. Rich is still gone. Derek's not here tonight.
You sang to him on the phone, didn't you?
I was singing through text. I had the little music signs on each side of my text.
There you go.
I guess that made him mad.
Yeah, or sick.
Or sick. One of the two. Brian, did you have a good weekend of wrestling, my friend?
I sure did, man. I sure did. It was a good week for wrestling. Very good week.
You guys are going to have to overlook me. You guys talk amongst yourselves. I'm having some technical difficulties over here, so you guys talk amongst yourselves, sir, for a minute.
Steve, I want to know, how close were you in all the action, man? You were at the MLW show.
MLW show was in the VIP area, which was right beside where Cornette does the announcing on the second level. So I was up there with the CFO, and Court Bauer was running around. You know, he was in the gorilla position, making sure everything was going smoothly. That was fantastic. It was real close to that, and a lot of the wrestlers came to the VIP area after their matches or after the show. Was 5 rows back at the Ring of Honor New Japan show, 4 rows back of the owner of New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Wow.
And you know, darn near ringside on the floor of Madison Square Garden. And hung out with a bunch of those guys at Kevin Nash's after party in Manhattan, and then about 15 or so rows back off the ring on the floor of MetLife Stadium. Unreal. I mean, unreal. And the outdoor feel of it, it just felt bigger than the Superdome felt last year.
Well, I can speak on behalf of Brian and Rich Quick and Derek, but I'm sure they feel the same way. Thank you for taking us along your journey throughout the weekend, man. You were sending us pictures.
I wanted.
It was great.
Look, I mean, if I had like unlimited amounts of money, I could think about. And Brian knows. I saw his post on Sunday about, you know, my feed's full of WrestleMania, and it's like a holiday for us.
Absolutely.
You know, if I had unlimited amounts of money, there's about 25 or 30 guys that I would have had there with me. You know, our own section,
right?
Ringside. Just
wait,
market.
Wait a minute. You don't have unlimited amounts of money?
I do not have unlimited amounts.
Contrary to popular
belief, you know.
It's like you just told me Santa Claus didn't exist or something.
That's right.
I'll tell you what, though. You did bring me back this lovely T-shirt.
That's right. These WrestleCon with the Subway logos on it. Now, Rez, I got you one that is like a it's like the Statue of Liberty is a luchador. With the luchador mask. And then my buddy Derek isn't here tonight, but this is a shirt that he and Lou got, which is the Bullet Club Pac-Man T-shirt. And I was so proud when Derek said that's the one Bullet Club shirt that I don't have. I was glad that I had picked that up with all the merch.
I did a little shopping while you were gone as well. I don't know if you've seen it here up front and center. we now have a Royal Ramble Championship.
I love
belt.
it. That is a beautiful, beautiful belt, my friend.
It is. And I'm hoping it's going to be more than just a paperweight. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, you know what we're going to do? We are going to have a trivia contest here in a few weeks. We're going to have the original Royal Rumble winner, last year's champion, Derek Jones, and then this year's champion, Richie Acevedo. And they are going to go head-to-head in 2 weeks right here on the Royal Ramble to determine who is going to be the first Royal Ramble champion.
Man, it looks like Richie got busted up on that last trivia challenge.
Yeah, well, he's coming ready to go is all I know. So you guys
Got a little color going on there, don't
April
we, Brian?
24th, 7 o'clock here on Facebook Live. For you guys listening on the podcast, check us out on Facebook, facebook.com/Royal Ramble 304.
You know, it's crazy that Steve New was able to get a Bullet Club shirt that Derek didn't have. I mean, Derek's got like 37 different Bullet Club shirts, and you found the one. It's like the holy grail of Bullet Club shirts there because he doesn't have it. It's unbelievable.
And I'm telling you, WrestleCon, those guys just, you know, this is my second one in a row. Those guys just keep upping their game. They had a 4-hour-long wrestling event with guys wrestling and 3 levels of con with booths, tables, and that was on Saturday. They didn't do the Sunday brunch this year, and I told the guys that run it, I said, I really liked the Sunday brunch. It looked like a horde of locusts had gone through the breakfast. It was 11 to 3.
I heard a lot of horror stories about getting out of WrestleMania. Was you involved in all that?
Oh.
Uh-oh.
Driver, pre-plotted, $75.
Nice.
My buddy Dustin Dent that sat with me at WrestleMania, he said, "You're the smartest guy I know." There were friends, and I want to talk about Dustin's event with the Mania Club. Stephanie McMahon was from Me to You.
Ooh.
Sunday afternoon.
Really?
The $1 billion princess came and saw the Mania Club.
Could you smell her aroma? A little wafting? This is probably why you didn't bring me with you, right?
Probably.
That's something to do with it.
Right. But anyway, my point is that couple from Australia that I met at the Mania Club tailgate, they didn't get back into Manhattan until after 3:30.
Wow.
And they paid $180 for a cab at 3:30 in the morning to get them from from Jersey, from East Rutherford back into Manhattan.
So mileage-wise, roughly, what do you reckon?
Miles-wise, it's like 15, 20 miles.
So it's nothing. It's just traffic and
Sure.
wow.
Sure.
That's amazing. Yeah, that was a good call on your part.
That sounds like my route to work. It's like 12 minutes away. It takes me like 45 minutes.
Yeah, I mean that's what it's like. And I mean, you got 82,000 people. You know, imagine Charleston and Huntington all in the same place trying to get somewhere after an event. But I staged a driver
After midnight.
I staged a driver in a Denali.
Getaway car,
A
huh?
getaway car, and we walked around MetLife, was in the car, and boom, boom, boom. He had us back
Wicked.
to Manhattan in no time.
That is
Luckily,
wicked.
Steve had Secret Service to take him out.
Derek Jones can't be here tonight because he's under the weather, but he's tuning in. He says, "You're the best, Steve. Steve is the best."
And I'm telling you, I can't wait to talk to Derek face to face because New Japan and Ring of Honor made a believer out of me. And John, I know that you are.
Ben Cliff wants to know if you found out who Nigel McGuinness was over the weekend. Not really.
Not really.
No.
But I met a lot of nice Brits. I had to buy drinks for some Scottish guys who I asked were from Ireland.
Okay,
And the one was a real smart aleck, though. He said, "Yes, and Richmond is the capital of your state." That's a pretty good burn, buddy.
Yeah.
So,
Dogging on the Virginias.
yeah, that's right.
We got a lot to get here
Yeah.
today, gentlemen. This week, our topic that we're going to discuss later on, what was your first live wrestling experience like? But we're going to save that for a little later in the show. We're actually going to start with our pros and cons like we always do here on the show. Billy Cantrell's tuning in. This is actually the gentleman that crafted up this lovely championship.
Hey, Billy.
Billy, what's up, buddy? Appreciate you tuning in. And more importantly, appreciate the Royal Ramble Championship title there.
And, man, Billy Cantrell, you are one hell of a belt maker.
Absolutely.
That's a beautiful championship.
That means a lot there, Billy. I don't know how much you know about Brian, but Brian is a connoisseur of belts. So there you go.
I'm a belt connoisseur, and I do like that one. I like the bear.
I don't even know what the hell connoisseur means. It just sounds good. What's it mean? Smart me up.
It's French for lover.
Really? Brian's a French belt lover.
That's right.
Or something like that.
That's right. I'm a French belt lover.
This time of the year is tough for me because there's a lot that I'm grateful for in the wrestling world. But it's easy to sift through it and poke holes in everything, too.
Yeah.
That being said, I'm going to let you start this week, Steve. I'll let you pick if we're going to start with our pros.
I hope I'm not stealing anybody's con, but the only way I think the main event of the Raw after WrestleMania could have been made any worse than the Bar interfering in a title unification would have been to have R-Truth and Carmella come out and interrupt it with a dance break.
How about their 7-second dance break that was like 18 seconds?
Oh, my. I'm just using that as an example.
I got you.
The Raw after WrestleMania has historically been fantastic.
Sure.
I've heard even some, and myself have said, sometimes Raw's better than the show.
Sure.
But SmackDown, the SmackDown after WrestleMania was way better than the Raw, for sure.
Yes, it was. But I'm telling you,
even though it was double stacked with 6-man tags. Ugh.
Yeah, what was that about? That was almost my con, actually.
Oh, my goodness. But, I mean, here you get this, and it's come out of nowhere. There's no heat, no build-up. You know, some people like surprises. I don't really. But I am a have your cake and eat it too kind of guy. So, okay, you're going to unify the titles on the Raw after WrestleMania with two guys that ain't got no heat, no history. All right. And then, boom, all of a sudden, right in the middle of it, an otherwise good match because you got two great wrestlers, here comes the Bar.
Well, I knew for a fact that wasn't going to be there wasn't going to be a finish in that match.
I knew that you had to have some kind of a something.
But I thought for sure that the person, you know what, I was sitting there thinking, this is where Undisputed Era comes in. Undisputed Era is going to keep this match from happening. And then it was the Bar, and it was just so disappointing that it was the Bar.
I mean, I would have been okay if it would have been the other members of the Shield and the other member of the New Day. I thought when that was matched up, I was like, the ending's going to be Shield and New Day.
Sure.
You know,
yeah.
I mean, that would have been the logical
leaving. It's great, yeah.
And even, you got that, is one member of the group or the other going to turn on one of the champions?
There was so much storyline possibilities there. And this is my thing with Cesaro and Sheamus. I love Cesaro and Sheamus, but the problem with them right now is the WWE has ruined them in the last couple of years. There's no credibility on their tag team. They have pretty much buried every tag team there. The Usos just lost to the Hardy Boys. Nothing against the Hardy Boys, but the Usos is probably the most credible tag team you have, and you're having them lose clean. But back to Cesaro and Sheamus. I love Cesaro and Sheamus, but the way they've been billed for the last couple of years, that's not their spot there. Not a dog spot either, Steve.
Not my liver spot. Not my parking spot.
But yeah,
you guys worked it in again.
Yes,
that's what we do.
Wow.
That's what we do, baby. That's what we do. I'm actually going to play off your con and piggyback off of that because mine is a lot to do with that. Brian, you mentioned that you knew that there was not going to be a finish here. I think a lot of us wrestling fans believe that. There was still that wrestling hope. I'm not speaking on behalf of you, but for me, there was still that hope that something's going to happen. They're going to do something here. Maybe this is a shakeup that they've been talking to us about. But for me, my con was when they announced this match at the end of the night. Okay, we're going to have a winner-take-all concept. This is going to be great. Kofi Kingston. And, it's going to be awesome. And then a couple commercial breaks later, they come back with the WWE running an ad. Tune in to SmackDown Live tomorrow where We have a celebration for Kofi Kingston's championship win. What the hell are you doing? That's like your left hand not knowing what your right hand's doing there.
Right.
I mean, most people's not going to catch that, but to your avid wrestling fans like myself, we're going to catch shit like that, and you're not going to get by with it. You want to work me. I want you to work me.
Sure. That's like when Jon Snow died at the end of season 5 of Game of Thrones.
Oh God! There we go.
And he's still in the credits at the start of season 6. You knew Jon Snow was coming back from the dead.
Absolutely. I didn't even know he died, but thanks, Steve. Appreciate that. Spoiler alert.
Well, I knew that they were not going to come to a finish on that. I knew that from the gate without the SmackDown commercial. Simply because, what are they going to do? They're going to take the belt off of Kofi Kingston the night after he won it, after everybody in the world's happy that he won it. Like,
everybody was not happy that he won it. I'll go ahead and say that right now.
Well, there were a lot of people who were happy about him winning it, and it was. I mean, either way, they're not going to take the title away from Kofi Kingston, and they damn sure aren't going to take it away from Seth Rollins. So
Seth frickin' Rollins.
It just didn't make any frickin' sense. And there was no reason for it to even happen. And if it was going to happen, it needed to be interrupted by somebody we haven't seen for a while, or somebody that was getting called up, or some way in where it would be a surprise.
I'm totally baffled by it, because I can't for the life of me figure out why they would use the bar in that scenario. I have no idea. We got a call coming in. Let's see who we got on the Ramble line. Hey, what's up? You're on with the Royal Ramble. Who we got?
Oh, you know who it is, John Kobe Cole.
Hey, what's up, buddy? How you doing?
I'm doing good. You know I'm calling, right?
Yeah, you gonna call and give me a hard time about Kofi. I know you is.
Oh, yeah, you already know. Look here, man. Look.
I'm all ears.
WrestleMania, it was packed, filled, but it's honestly, here's the funny thing. I'm not even talking about really WrestleMania. It's the NXT takeover that, blew my mind over the weekend. Out of the 24 takeovers that they have done, Takeover New York, I think, in my opinion, was the best takeover they possibly have done.
See, I beg to differ. I think this one was a lot worse than some of the other ones. And I enjoyed this takeover, but I feel like it was less than most of the other ones. But you said you was going to get on me about Kofi. Go ahead and plead your case, man.
Oh, respect the culture for Kofi winning the title, John Kobe Cole. Respect the culture.
It has nothing to do with the culture, my friend. I'm just not a fan of Kofi at all.
Look. You don't have to be a fan of Kofi, John Kobe Cole.
Okay.
But I shedded a tear when Kofi won that title, okay?
Hey, and for you...
It has a very deep meaning.
It did have a lot of deep meaning. I'm
sure, it did.
MVP was at the MLW show
I seen that where he was tearing up.
Yes, and then later on, and I'll tell you, to people of color, Kofi's victory meant a lot.
Okay, I can get behind that. I can respect that.
I'm not saying that it's a cultural thing at all, but I saw a video of a little black kid, and his dad posted a video, and when Kofi won that title, that little boy,
he said, "I'm Kofi." Yeah, I seen that.
Kofi.
Yeah, I seen that. That's cool.
And I'm telling, and it was real in the stadium.
Yeah.
You make no mistake about it that the people of color in that stadium that night, and I'm not just talking black. I'm talking,
every color,
Islanders, Latinos, whatever it was. People of color. Kofi's victory mattered to people of color, and it was real and it was palpable. I mean, you could feel it.
I'm white as white can be, and Kofi's victory meant something to me.
I'm not excluding the Caucasians from the discussion.
Back to me pleading my case, though, Lyndon. I'm not a fan of Kofi Kingston. I understand what it meant, especially him being there so long. But I'm just not a fan of Kofi Kingston, and I'm hoping that he proves me wrong. I'm hoping that he maybe turns heel and says, "Hey, I'm better than you," or maybe Big E turns on him and he shows me a little something more. But I'm just not a fan of Kofi. But I do respect and understand the fact of why that victory meant so much to him and so many other people.
Yep. So, hey, look, you ain't got to like them disrespected. That's all I'm saying. But back on NXT, the reason why I liked it was just the storytelling. Because from the first match to the last match, the storytelling was awesome in each match. So, But altogether, it was a great WrestleMania weekend. I mean, honestly, the New Japan ROH show.
Yeah.
If D. Jones was there, he already knows what I would be feeling, what he was feeling. Like, that show could not have been any better.
It was a good one. While you're on the line, what's your con of the weekend, my friend?
My con? Man. My con is really, I would think, the Raw after Mania.
Yeah, we was just talking
It
about
just wasn't good.
Right. Yeah.
Like, it really wasn't good.
I mean, he's so right about that. That and you could tell because you've got, it's at the Barclays Center, so you've got like 18 or 20,000 smart marks that are just dying, to be a part of the crowd. They've got signs, they want to be vocal.
Sure.
I mean, the Raw after WrestleMania a few years ago got Fandango over.
Do you remember I remember the first real big Raw after WrestleMania? 2002. Brock Lesnar shows up.
See, I disagree.
You think there was one before that one?
I think I know
that's the first one that stands out in my mind.
I know there was, and I'm going to prove it to you.
Okay. I like facts.
The Raw after WrestleMania in 1998. Do you know what's significant about that?
That was when DX was formed, wasn't it?
Negative.
The new DX.
The new DX, yes, but the significance of it is this. That was the first time in 83 weeks that Raw beat Nitro in the TV ratings.
I feel like this is going to lead into an Eric Bischoff podcast.
That is very true.
Vince turned the corner in the Monday Night Wars, and the 83-week streak ended. The Raw is War after WrestleMania in '98 when Stone Cold beat HBK.
Okay,
What about the Raw after WrestleMania when Dolph Ziggler won the world title?
That was a good one.
Great one.
That was a great
one.
Lesnar, you read my freaking mind, bro. Hey, Rez, you read my mind because I was literally about to mention that match.
Yeah, that
when
was
Dolph won the title the next night.
Let me ask you guys this before I let you go, Larry. Would you guys have been okay if it would have been Dolph Ziggler to interrupt that main event with Kofi Kingston and Seth Rollins?
Yes.
If
haven't seen Dolph in months.
That would have been fine. But you haven't seen Dolph around, though. That's the thing.
Exactly.
Dolph hasn't been around.
I think we're going to see Dolph in AEW.
I do too.
All right, Lennon, we appreciate the call, brother. Ramble on, man.
Oh, anytime, buddy. Get good.
See you, buddy. Dolph Ziggler would have been fun right there. I mean, that would have been a whole different dynamic, and that could have possibly have been my pro this week. You know what I mean? That would have been
for
great.
Sure.
John,
yeah, man.
We have some watchers who want to know whether Blue Chew erectile dysfunction sponsors this fine program.
Well, they do not sponsor this program.
We're rock hard without chewing.
But I will say this.
That's right.
I will say this.
This is all natural. I'm like the Hacksaw Butch Reed. I'm a natural man, baby.
I will say this. They're not sponsored, or we do not sponsor them here on the Royal Ramble, but Conrad Thompson finally talked me into ordering some of this substance a month ago. It's all right.
Okay.
We can get my wife down here and we talk to her if y'all want to. I mean, but
man, John, you have an issue.
Full disclosure with John
no
Covey
issues.
Cole, ladies.
No issues. I'm just wanted to try it. Why not? It's $5. See what happens. They're not going to drug test me for Blue Chew. You know what I mean?
Nice.
Hey, Brian, what's your con of the weekend or the last week, buddy?
My con of the week came out of a freaking box on Raw. It looked like the gobbledygooker. And I don't understand why they feel like Bray needs to be repackaged with a freaking puppet. It took everything in me not to drop an F-bomb right there. But to give us a puppet coming out of a box that looks like the gobbledygooker, was Vince hooking up with JoJo when Bray hooked up with her, and now he wants to punish Bray, or what's going on there? Like, I don't understand.
It looked
what
like
the deal
Mr.
is.
Sacco and Santino's Cobra mated, and that's its offspring in that box.
I thought it was an advertisement for the TV sitcom Dinosaurs from back in the 90s coming back. I was like, what is this? Then I was like, oh, that was part of the show. What the hell's going on here?
And you could clearly hear the laugh of Bray Wyatt in the background, and that's terrible. This is I don't even know what they're doing, and I don't even care.
Awful.
Like, why is the gobbledygooker?
He's
part of
another
this
one.
angle?
Him and his brother need to go to freaking AEW. And I think I said this a few weeks ago.
Whose brother? Bray?
Bray
and Bo?
And Bo. And Curtis Axel, and get your real name back. You know, you're Hennig. That name is royalty.
Sure.
In this business. Take your name back, Curtis Axel, and you go to AEW. Cody should build that company. Oh, the Cons. I'm going to talk about them in just a moment. They should build that company off of these second and third generation wrestlers. It's in their DNA. I'm sorry, Brian. I didn't mean to jump in on your.
No, I'm with you, and I was pretty much done. I mean, it's just the freaking gooker. That's what it looked like.
There was a sock puppet gobbledygooker.
Hey,
Brian is 100% correct.
Tim Cross here on Facebook. He says, why are we so mad about a buzzard? Tell him why you're so mad about a buzzard, Brian.
Was it a buzzard?
I think
Is that what I was looking at?
Did you follow
So
it?
now,
a puppet.
You know what else it reminded me of? And there's a lot of people that weren't watching wrestling at this time. It seems like the revolutionary time to stop watching wrestling was like around 92, 93.
Yeah.
But in the WWE in 1993, I believe, Paul Ellering had a dummy. Does anybody remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah, you do? Okay, great. He had a ventriloquist dummy that he used to bring out to the ring. It reminded me of that and the gobbledygook.
In about 93, I was a junior in college, and I gave up on wrestling for a couple of years. I really did. Between that and the stuff that Kevin Sullivan was doing in WCW, I would tune in occasionally.
Sullivan!
And I couldn't even stomach, like the Mummy that humped that guy.
The
from
Yeti?
The Yeti, yeah. I couldn't even stomach it.
I loved the Dungeon of Doom when I was a kid. I was like 11 or 12 years old at that time.
Well, had I been not 23 or 24 years old, if I'd have been 11 or 12 instead of 23 or 24, I'd have probably liked it too.
What you guys think? Maybe,
yeah, I was deep in.
You guys think maybe this buzzard is Sister Abigail coming to
reincarnate?
Yeah.
I really hope. I just really want Bray Wyatt to be taken seriously. That's my problem, Tim. Is I want Bray Wyatt to be taken seriously. I want it to feel like The Undertaker, and I want it to be a serious thing, and I want it to actually strike fear in the hearts of little children, and that is not going to do it. It's just that's a stupid thing.
This is not Derek Jones. 4 years old.
93, he was 4, fall in love with all this nonsense.
Thank you for telling all of our viewers just how much older I am than you, Derek. That's awesome. I was 24 and Derek was 4. But anyway, speaking of the Wyatt family, dude, when Luke Harper came out for that Battle Royal.
He looked good?
He looked good, and I marked out. I straight up marked out.
Did you think for a second he was going to win?
I did not. I knew that he wasn't going to
right.
win.
It was nice to see him, though.
It was great to see him back. And then when him and Strowman, faced up there, the whole crowd was like, whoa.
I missed the women's battle royal. Can you guys guess why? Brian, I bet you can.
You were playing stupid softball?
I was playing stupid softball.
So, a con in that, what you just said, is you got Luke Harper coming back for WrestleMania, and you can't think of anything better to do with him than throw him in a freaking battle royal with a bunch of jobbers.
Hey, hang on, Steve. 1 second. Before we continue, I got to go to Facebook here. Jason Heiser says Sister Abigail is a pork chop knockoff. Anyway, go ahead.
I guess he meant lamb chop.
Yeah, I think so.
We
Sherry
all
Lewis
knew,
and all.
We all knew what he meant.
But he can't believe that they didn't have something better for Luke Harper to do than just lose in a battle royal. That was just a terrible, terrible spot for him, and not a liver spot.
What, dog spot maybe?
No.
There's twice. Brian's getting in on the fun now.
Yeah.
You guys want to move on?
Yes, let's move on.
Let's move on. Let's move on to the pros of the week. Steve, go ahead and start again, bro.
Saturday night, after midnight, a wrestler who, if he's not 60, he's approaching it, executed a beautiful Canadian destroyer. I am propping my boy, the living legend and the seemingly ageless Ricky Morton.
That was beautiful.
Ricky Morton executed a freaking Canadian destroyer. He had been at WrestleCon all day long from like 9 a.m. until 6 p.m. signing autographs, taking every picture, smiling, him and Robert. I mean, how great they are, how much they love the fans. He executed a Canadian destroyer. That's now it's 15 hours.
If you guys haven't seen it, go to our Facebook. It's posted there. It was amazing.
I can't believe he did that.
Of live wrestling in person, MLW, New Japan ROH, and WWE WrestleMania, and to me that was my pro of the week.
You have to admit that after it was over and it got such press and all that that Punky was sitting around going, oh man, now I got to do that in every single match from here on out. Retirement is coming soon for Ricky Morton if he's going to have to do that every night.
That's exactly right, and I think he tweeted or put on Facebook or something. He's like, I keep telling folks I got one more match left in me. So, you could have like a really great like Rock and Roll Express versus Hardy Boys, 80s versus 90s, like ageless match or something. And I believe those two teams could go, honest to goodness.
Tim Cross says Canadian destroyers are the worst move in the world.
They very well may be.
And me and Ricky have talked about this. Well, it looked good. Old man looked good doing it.
He sure did.
And you can say it's the worst move in the world all you want, but once you see it, you want to see it again.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the whole reason. Petey Williams is a phenomenal wrestler. I love watching Petey Williams perform. But you know what? If I see a match and it doesn't have the Canadian Destroyer in it, I kind of feel robbed.
Yep.
It's a very visually entertaining move. Yes, it may not make sense. Yes, it may not. The gravity of the whole move may not make sense. But visually, it's very entertaining, and people want to see it. It pops the crowd, and that's what we're all here to do.
Speaking of popping the crowd, I'm going to try to pop Derek's crowd here on the Ramble. He sent me his pros and cons. I'll start with his cons since we moved past that. He said Johnny Impact winning Ultimate X match to be #1 contender for X Division title. Too much talent and impact to put all your focus on one person. Somebody's got to win the match. Why not him?
Well, I kind of agree.
Okay.
But Johnny Impact, he's carrying that entire company right now.
And his pro was NXT New York. All belts represented and defended. No filler, no crap, just good wrestling. Okay, Derek. The filler is fun for me. Once again, that's the storyline that I like. I don't necessarily need 5 hours of it at WrestleMania or 7 hours. What time did you get there for WrestleMania?
I arrived at the Mania Club tailgate at the Izod Center at 2. And
I'd have never made it in the building if I got there at 2. I'd have never made it in the building.
I was a good boy, I'll have you all know. And at about 4:30, I walked over to the arena and got in just as the matches were starting.
Nice.
And was in my seat by 5:30, 5:15, 5:30. And, the undercard starting. I think I missed whatever the first match, whatever the first prelim match was. I missed that and then was there.
You missed the cruiserweight match between Buddy Murphy and
I missed the
Tony Nese?
cruiserweight match.
That was a great match. It was a great match. Tony Nese won the cruiserweight title. I was pretty excited.
But, dude, 5:30, when it hit midnight, even I was like, boy, come on.
You'd have probably had to pick me up at the parking lot on the way out. Brian, what was your pro of the week, my friend?
My pro of the week was WrestleMania. Period. The whole thing.
That's kind of a cop out. That's like
it's really not. It's really not, because I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why WrestleMania as a whole was my pro, was because I went in thinking this is going to be the worst WrestleMania of all time. And I left at 12:35 at night saying, wow, they really did a good job with this. You know, they threw it together at the last minute, every single match. There was only one thing. There was only one thing that I would have changed about the entire weekend, and that was when The Undertaker came out on Monday Night Raw to take down Elias or whatever. I wish that would have happened at WrestleMania. I wish at WrestleMania Undertaker would have came. I wish Elias would have said, whoever interrupts my WrestleMania performance is a dead man. And then The Undertaker would have came out and done that at WrestleMania. And then Kurt Angle and Baron Corbin would have been getting ready to face off at WrestleMania. And the Thugonomics music would have hit.
Yep.
And John Cena would have done that to Baron Corbin.
Yep.
Then got rid of Baron Corbin and then got up in Kurt's face, said ruthless aggression, and slapped the shit out of him. That is what I would have done if I would have been in the position. That's the only thing I would have changed, because everything else was great. And I love John Cena's thing that he did. What he did was awesome, but I just wish he would have done it with Kurt Angle and Baron Corbin, and I wish we would have had Undertaker at WrestleMania.
Both of those would have been awesome WrestleMania moments.
Absolutely.
I mean, and Brian, I couldn't agree with you more. You know, being there, I didn't know how I was going to take 7 hours of wrestling. You know, I really didn't. But honest to goodness, it went by very fast.
Nice and smooth, was it?
Yeah, it was smooth.
How many bathroom breaks did you try?
I did 2 bathroom breaks and 1 concession stand break because I hadn't had any dinner.
Now, I'm curious as to when you took those breaks. Do you remember?
I missed the concession stand break was Braun Strowman, or was Samoa Joe versus Rey Mysterio.
Didn't
last long.
Quick.
You were quick. Well, I think everybody else kind of wanted to watch Joe, you know, or whatever, and so I was like, I'm going to duck out. But the last half of the men's battle royal, that was my first bathroom break. I can't remember what the other one. It might have been. Were the Usos in a 4-way tag?
I think so. There were so many freaking matches.
It was the Usos tag match. Samoa Joe and Rey Mysterio was the food break, and the last half of the men's battle royal. I went out 3 times.
Good times to go out.
Yeah. So
When
everything
I
else
went to
I saw and I witnessed.
When I went to WrestleMania, I only left my seat one time, and that was when Pitbull and Flo Rida came out. And it was time for hot dogs.
Yeah. Well, there was no way I was missing Joan Jett, though.
Yeah, no way.
40 years. That woman hadn't aged in 40 years.
She's like Ricky Morton.
She is like Ricky Morton. They're ageless.
I would have liked to have seen her do the Canadian Destroyer to Ronda. That'd be great.
It would have indeed.
All right, you guys ready to hear my pro? If Derek was here, he'd be proud of me. I was on the fence where I was going to do with my pro, but I'm going to go in the opposite direction. My pro of the week was the War Raiders versus Aleister Black and Ricochet. I don't know if you've seen that match. It was a great match.
I did.
Great match.
It was phenomenal.
Aleister Black and Ricochet versus the War Raiders in NXT TakeOver.
It was
amazing. It was amazing.
I watched it 4 times. It was so good.
That match or the whole show?
That match. Just that match. 4 times.
I
loved it. Such a good match. Tell me this, John Covey Cole, the move where it was sort of like the heart attack, except for he did a springboard off the ropes.
Oh my God!
That was like the heart attack mixed with the Doomsday device, without even coming off the top rope. It was that was such textbook tag team wrestling. Loved it.
That's why I enjoyed that, because it is, like you said, textbook tag team wrestling. On Raw and SmackDown, it seems far too often they're just going through the motions. over on NXT, they get it. That's how you're supposed to have a tag team match. I mean,
yeah, whoever is booking the tag team division in NXT
brilliant
is a whole lot better than whoever is booking tag team wrestling, be it men's or women's, in on Raw or SmackDown.
My pro was almost.
I think that's Triple H and Steven Regal.
Well, they're doing a great job for sure. My pro was almost DX's Hall of Fame speech. If you've seen it yet,
Good.
it was great.
I have not.
It was hilarious. I ain't gonna spoil it for you, but it was hilarious.
All right.
There were some jabs
good.
thrown.
Can I comment on that for just a moment?
Sure.
Triple H can say what he wants to, but Vince McMahon's net worth is $3.2 million. Mr. Khan's, or $3.2 billion with a B. Mr. Khan's, 6.4. Now, I'm from Gilbert, but I know that 6.4 is twice 3.2. So Trips can say whatever he wants to about Vince buying Khan. Vince ain't buying Khan and putting that company out of business. So I'm not saying WWE is scared of AEW. I ain't saying that AEW is a T-shirt company or anything else, but I'm telling you that if Mr. Khan and his 36-year-old son Tony decide that they want to give Vince McMahon a run for his money, they're going to give him a run for his money.
Well, here's the devil's advocate to what you're saying is let them lose money on some stupid ideas for about 2 years, and that company will be as cheap as WCW, and it'll be on the market. And
True.
I guarantee you that.
True.
Because right now they're trying to run a company with no writers. Good luck going up against Vince McMahon with no writers.
Well, what do you mean? We've been
Well,
bitching
now,
about Vince McMahon's writing for how long?
How do you know who their writers are?
They
Now,
don't have writers. They don't believe in writers.
Well, there you go.
all right. Well,
And-
if that's the case, they will fold like a cheap suit. Because the problem with WWE right now, you mentioned his name last week or 2 weeks ago, Freddie Prinze Jr. They need Freddie Prinze, or they need somebody writing this stuff, because whoever's writing Raw and SmackDown right now, it's a steaming pile of crap.
For the record, I love cheap soup. Tomato soup, chicken noodle soup, don't matter. I'll eat it all.
Well, what I'm saying is the WWE's writers may be crap, but at least there are writers which
Right.
create structure. Without structure, you're going to let a bunch of wrestlers write their own stories. Good luck with that.
Dude, I'm not going to go into this right now, but it's not that cut and dry, Brian.
It really isn't, because if you think about it, I think that Russo takes a lot of credit. You know, there may be some, if you think about it, in the territory days, there wasn't nobody writing territory days stuff. You had a booker. You had bookers who were booking the matches, but the interviews, the promos, the storyline, stuff like that, a lot of that stuff
Was on the boys. I mean, it
right,
really
was on the boys.
Okay, but think about the difference in entertainment now and entertainment then.
You're-
Think about the difference of television programs now and television programs then.
you're
And it was
100% correct,
a lot
my friend.
easier. It was a lot easier to entertain people when everything was crap. Now we're in it. I mean, you just mentioned Game of Thrones.
Right.
There's The Walking Dead. There's all kinds of
The
story.
Royal Ramble.
Video games in 1985, you know, if you compare WWF, AWA, the NWA, mostly Jim Crockett Promotions, had world-class championship wrestling. You had all of the territories and stuff like that. 1985. The biggest video game that year was Super Mario Brothers that you got with an NES with Duck Hunt. I compare video games then.
I used to
video
try to
games-
shoot that stupid dog every chance I got.
It wouldn't let you. But anyway, I mean, think about that, Rez. I mean, you've got video games now. I'm not a gamer, but I know that there are games now which are like watching movies, you know, and just to compare video games from 34 years ago to video games now, and I think that's your point, but
And also to add to that, if I'm out of context here, just let me know. A lot of times, if I have time to watch extra wrestling, I know you and Derek like to give me a hard time sometimes, mostly Derek, about watching other wrestling. If I have time to consume other wrestling, you know what I do? I back up and watch old wrestling back when it was done a little differently, because still the best trilogy of matches to this day is Ricky Steamboat and Ric Flair back in 1989, and that was them doing their thing. And like I said, I'm not as an intellectual as Steve is. I can't explain it quite how he's trying to. And you're another one, Brian. That's a very good speaker. That's why I wanted you guys on my show here. But I'm excited about All Elite Wrestling. I know right now it is a T-shirt company, like you like to say, Brian. But I'm very excited because the money's there. It's not a television company running a wrestling program. It's different.
Do you think that I'm going to not watch AEW?
No, I know you're going to watch. I know you're going to watch.
And I think Brian's point is that even with a billionaire, how much are you going to lose before you pull the plug on it? I mean, even billionaires have a point where they look at their 36-year-old son and say, hey, I've put all the money I'm going to put into a wrestling company.
Exactly.
I love you, son, and I have $6.2 billion, but I've put $50 million of that.
So if you had this endless supply of money, about 4 WrestleManias from now, you'd be like, I love you, Covey Cole, but I'm tired of taking you to WrestleMania to have you pass out in the parking lot before the show even starts.
That's right. My friend Dustin Dent and I are sick of you embarrassing us. In front
Can't take you nowhere. I'd be proud of you.
You puked on Stephanie McMahon 5 hours before WrestleMania started.
Yeah, it happens.
Well,
it happens.
I don't want you to get me wrong. I don't want to hate AEW, and I love Cody Rhodes. I love Kenny Omega. I love the Young Bucks. I want I want it to work. That's why I think they need a writer, and I think they need to take this thing a little bit more seriously when you're dealing with somebody else's money. Because just like Dixie Carter's parents loved her, and they were worth billions too, and they pulled the plug on her, and that's gonna it could easily happen to AEW too if they just totally give it to the boys.
Because Lyndon said, look at what happened with the AAF. And guys, the AAF was working in close conjunction with the National Football League. The National Football League didn't view the AAF as a rival. The National Football League wanted the AAF to work because they knew
farm system.
It's a farm system. Yeah. If there's some really talented guy that we've overlooked in our traditional scout and draft process, and there's some really talented guy out there that we've overlooked, hey, the AAF is going to serve him up on a silver platter. And
someone like Joey Ryan that you just totally overlooked and didn't book, right?
Never in my life.
Guys, we're going to take a quick commercial break, put Steve over. We're going to come right back and talk about some weekly news. We'll be right back.
Since 2001, drug companies dumped 1 billion opioid pills in West Virginia, causing over 3,000 overdose deaths and thousands of babies born addicted by no fault of their own. I'm attorney Stephen New. If you're the grandparent or guardian of a child born with neonatal abstinence syndrome, call me. I'll help you seek just compensation.
Call the law offices of Stephen P. New at 1-844-BAD-PILLS before time runs out.
All right, guys, welcome back. We are going to go to the weekly news portion of the show.
John, wait.
Why are you yelling at me? Why are you yelling at me?
Just wait 1 second. Before we leave the pros and cons, I have one that's a pro and a con at the same time.
This guy right here. I can't have a format with him and.
I'm sorry. I have to talk about this. I have to talk about this because Bray Wyatt's puppet screwed me up, and I should have mentioned this.
Raise your shoes this week over that puppet, brother. I'm worried.
Pro and con.
Hold on, Brian. Maybe that puppet was one of the con fellers. Laughing at Vince. Could have been.
There is one thing that happened this week that is a pro and con at the same time, and that involves one man, Eli Drake.
This is actually something we were going to discuss in the weekly news, so I don't know why the hell you cut me off.
I'm
He's
sorry.
telling you what he wants the news to start with.
Well,
let me see here. I had that second on the list, Brian. Damn it.
Okay, well, we're going to start first with Eli Drake because Impact fired Eli Drake for refusing to do an intergender wrestling match, and that is complete crap because
Hold on, before you go any farther, that is true. But it wasn't so much the fact that he refused to do it. If he would have refused to do it behind closed door, I think it would have been a totally different thing. The biggest problem, I think, was him vocally bashing Impact Wrestling and the whole idea of intergender wrestling on social media. I think that was what ultimately
and
got him
that's
fired.
another way that wrestling's different now, Brian. I mean, everybody's smart, and wrestlers have
smart, air quotes. They're smart.
Well, yeah,
I think they're
we're all
smart.
Yeah,
Well, some of us are smarter than what we actually are.
Sure.
Or think we are.
and some of us aren't as smart as we think.
Leave me alone,
we are.
Steve.
But
let me ask you this.
the wrestlers, I'm sorry, Brian, the wrestlers have unfiltered 24-hour access to their fan base. That is unheard of, compared to even just 25 years ago.
There isn't even a WNFL. The WNBA players do not play the NBA players. You do not see women versus men in any other sport. Why are we trying to do it in wrestling? And why are we firing our best performer, our best talker, the future, Eli Drake, because he took a stance that most of us agree with?
Well, his contract was up in a couple weeks anyway. I think it's over. It was
Well,
up in
then
May.
They should have given him $3 million.
Well, I mean, and that may be why he didn't want to do it either. I mean, if they were going to have him in the last 2 or 3 weeks of his contract job to some chick, I mean, maybe he was protecting his brand as well as being philosophically opposed. I despise intergender matches. I have since China. Beth Phoenix.
Hold on, with China. Let me jump in there with China. Whenever she was wrestling the Spike Dudleys of the world, I could almost understand that. But Eli Drake is a large. This is coming from Logan. This is from your neck of the woods, Steve.
It sure is.
Hey, what's up? You're on with the Royal Ramble. Who we got?
Hey, this is DJ.
Hey, what's up, DJ?
What's going on, guys?
What's on your mind, brother?
I wanted to know how your feelings were about Hunter and his little jabs at AEW.
Yeah, we talked about that just a little while ago. Rez was talking about how great the DX induction speech was, and what I said, DJ, was that Khan is Khan. Sorry, it's Star Trek reference. Khan is worth twice the amount of money that Vince McMahon is worth. Khan's worth $6.4 billion. Now he can lose some money while he's trying to build AEW. So what I said, and I told Brian this in real time when he and I were messaging about it, was Vince McMahon may not be afraid of the Khans, but I don't believe the Khans are afraid of him either. It's fun. That's part of Triple H's shtick. That's part of his gimmick. He never was shy about doing that. He rolled a Jeep up to the Norfolk Scope.
They call it a tank, though. That was what I loved about it.
It was a Jeep.
But
coming from a guy
you
who's...
imagine? I honestly believe to this day that if Bischoff hadn't been an idiot and would have let him come in there, that would push.
Bischoff says that he didn't even know they were there until after they were already gone.
I don't believe that.
You don't think so?
I don't believe that. I believe he knew they were there.
It would have been on his TV show, though. He was the one that would have got the ratings for it.
That's exactly.
You know what I mean?
Everybody would have.
Yeah,
everybody
that's what I'm saying.
switched to TNT. That's
Sure.
Jay's point.
Since we brought it
Let them
up,
come in. The guys that aren't their friends are going to shoot on.
Yeah.
Well,
And then you rest them, have them kicked out. Then where can you go from there? Billions of different lines.
All right,
storylines.
Brian,
We're
you
gonna hop
like
offline, brother. Appreciate you
Triple
calling, buddy.
H's
Right
little
along.
jabs at AEW, right?
I do. I thought they were funny, but
Hey,
since
I
you brought
enjoyed
it
them
up, here's something that we didn't think about: is there's a good chance that Khan may have already got back his initial investment off of Derek Jones alone in T-shirts.
I will tell you, there are some WWE fans though who do not like AEW, and every time
I'm a diehard WWE fan, but the way I look at it, do I think AEW is going to compete with the WWE? Not for at least 5 years, but once they start up, and if they're halfway decent, it's going to make WWE that much better.
Let me tell you why I believe you're wrong. Jim Ross said this weekend that AEW already has a cable deal. Strong go! Strong go! It already has a cable deal lined up to start in October. So if in October they go, and by that point in time, SmackDown's going to be on Friday nights on Fox.
Until Fox boots them off for not getting good enough ratings.
Well, okay, I'm just telling you.
Yeah.
Khan has his folks on Tuesday nights on some cable program. I think they're going to go back to TBS. If I were them, and so help me to God, if I could get it 6:05 Saturday night, if I could put my program on 6:05 on the mothership, if you will, 6:05 on the WTBS, the Superstation.
Can I remind you of something, Steve? There was this company once called WCW, and they were on at 6:05 on the Superstation, and you know what? They didn't beat WWE until they got Hulk Hogan in '94. And here's another one. There's this company called TNA that was on Spike TV for like 4 years, and it didn't make a bit of difference whatsoever. But I am not anti-AEW as much as I am anti-AEW fans who somehow believe that the AEW is going to come in and just start smashing the WWE.
Hold on, isn't that the birthplace of a wrestling fan? Is you believe in something?
No,
why you gotta hate on them for believing?
Here's the thing: when I became a wrestling fan in 1981, at the age of 10, I didn't believe in ICW, and I didn't believe in the National Wrestling Alliance, and I didn't believe in the World Wrestling Federation.
This is for Derek. I believe the children are our future.
Teach them well and let them lead the way.
As you
but I didn't believe.
The freaking duet now? I'm leaving. I'm leaving.
I didn't believe in the wrestling company. I liked the wrestling company, and it was a totally different time right then, with TBS carrying Georgia Championship Wrestling, and you had Mid-Atlantic Wrestling carried on syndication, and ICW in syndication being run by the Poffos, and the WWF would run these spot shows where Madison Square Garden Network, you didn't even know when it was coming on USA Network. You'd be flipping the channels, and you used to have to do it like this, Derek. And you
had to get up.
Had to get up out of your chair, walk across the room, and flip channels. And I'm flipping across there one night, and there is Don Morocco versus Jimmy Snuka in a cage.
What's this? Let's
like,
stay right here for a little bit.
This is Madison Square Garden Network on USA. No advertisements, no promos hadn't been built up. USA just needed the programming. They didn't have any programming back then. And Snuka jumps off the top onto Morocco, and I'm like, oh my God, I want this for the rest of my life. Sorry, we took it.
We'll get excited.
We took it sideways, guys. I'm sorry.
Is there anything else you want to say about the whole Eli Drake situation before we move on, Brian?
Just that it was also a pro in the fact that we may see Eli Drake actually go somewhere like AEW or New Japan Wrestling. Actually, if AEW signs Eli Drake, I'm going to buy all their shirts.
I actually read that Impact is looking to pursue a breach of contract claim against Drake for vocally bashing Intergender Wrestling and Impact's involvement.
Well,
good luck with that.
You know what?
Got a pot to piss in there or window to throw it out of.
You'll take a ring apron from him or something. I'm going to sell this at the pawn shop.
That's right.
Tori Wilson's father passed away last week during WrestleMania week. She mentions it at her Hall of Fame speech, which was great. If you haven't watched it yet, please find some time to check it out.
Man, I fast forwarded through hers. I should watch it, huh?
It was funny. She mentioned that a lot of the fans watching her accept her speech she was actually part of their puberty growing up. It was hilarious. I laughed. I was like, oh yeah.
She got her start with David Flair, if you remember.
Yeah.
I mean, she broke in when David Flair broke.
She don't even look like the same chick anymore. She's had so much work done and.
Man, Stacy Keibler, she looked like $1 billion.
Yes, she did.
That was a nice surprise.
There were a lot of. There was a section of the WrestleCon that was all chicks.
Oh yeah.
Some of them are holding up well. Francine, The Queen of Extreme, honest to goodness, hasn't aged a day.
Really?
Has not aged a day. That woman is ageless, timeless. She's beautiful. She's nice.
She's drinking that Ricky Morton juice.
She is. Hey, easy. But some of the gals
Not so good.
not hold the tanning bed and plastic surgery hasn't been good to some of the gals.
Well,
but
give us a name. Give us some names here. I
no,
want to know who's falling apart.
I'm not going to go there. I'm just going
They're
to say
not listening, Steve. They're not listening.
I
Just
don't
go
want to
ahead.
bash anybody.
Just drop a name. Who's falling apart?
I wouldn't
John
say falling
Covey-Cole.
apart, but no, because by and large,
Come on.
by and large, they're really sweet. I'm just saying to Daphne.
I didn't ask you what they taste like. I want to know what they look like.
Yeah,
All right,
Daphne's
let's move on, gentlemen.
Daphne's a sweet chick.
Speaking of former women wrestlers, Barbie Blank, a.k.a. Kelly Kelly, is dating country music superstar Cole Swindell. Does that do anything for you? Does it excite you? Or
I don't
Who
care.
the hell is Cole Swindell?
I don't know. He's a thing. My
He sounds
daughter
like a
could.
Is he-
NASCAR driver instead of a country music singer, but I don't care.
Is he that country guy who shot himself in the face in the music video? I hadn't heard of him either.
Wow, that's kind of cool. I
don't-
hadn't heard of that.
Kelly was there this weekend at WrestleCon. Absolutely gorgeous, very nice.
She was one of
Actually,
my favorites.
I'm pretty sure that was a tragedy, John. Not very cool. But yeah, I didn't know him either.
Well, I'm saying
I
it's
don't know
very
who
cool
Cole
that they would
Swindell
touch
is.
base on that in a music video.
Next,
Billy Graham tells Kofi Kingston to take
No.
some steroids and gain about 50 pounds of muscle. Did you guys hear about that? No.
Tells who?
Kofi.
Kofi Kingston. He needs to gain about 50 pounds
Oh.
of muscle.
I heard fans this weekend say to Harry Smith, Davey Boy's son, Brian Pillman Jr., Bully Ray, and James Storm, I'm on the juice. As if it was supposed to impress legitimate professional wrestlers that some guy from Jersey or some guy from Texas or some guy from Florida was on the – and you could tell they were jacked up.
Sure.
But when they walked off, Harry's like, they not know my dad, and what he's like, that stuff's tragic. He's like, do they not even know our stories? And people tell Pillman the same stuff. Like, oh, I loved your dad, man. He was crazy. And Pillman Jr.'s like,
Thanks.
yeah, I know. I wish he was still around.
Right.
So it's moments like that, like at 2 o'clock in the morning in the bar where these guys, they're real people, and the stuff that idiots out there think is cool,
Speaking of idiots.
like being roided up, superstar Billy Graham, yeah, you had a little bit of a comeback. I mean, wrestling-wise, I love superstar Billy Graham, and a lot of people stole superstar Billy Graham's stuff. Hulk Hogan is a straight-up ripoff of superstar Billy Graham. Dusty Rhodes, Jesse Ventura. Dusty Rhodes learned to talk. A lot of that rhythm and the way he talked and all of that, he would tell you in shoot videos, he stole that from superstar Billy Graham.
I heard that.
But then he did roids and he testified against Vince in the steroid trial, and it ravaged his
Speaking
body.
of someone else that was on drugs or probably on drugs, this jackass that tackled Bret Hart. I didn't want to spend too much time here because it's been all over the place, and everybody and their brothers had their say about it. I don't know what more there is to say about it. The guy jumped in the ring, tackled Bret, and got his ass kicked. That's bottom line.
It made mainstream news. I mean, like people that don't even follow wrestling, it was getting reported on, everywhere from.
But I'll tell you what was brilliant. I don't know if it was done, if it was decided on after this happened, or if it was already written this way. But when Big Cass and Enzo Amore jumped the rail at the New Japan Ring of Honor show, it had people in the wrestling community out in the internet. Was that real too?
It wasn't just in the wrestling community.
No.
I was about 25 feet away from where that happened. I think it was a work. because I think if it wasn't a work, the owner of New Japan would have reacted differently.
Was he kind of chilled out, was he?
He was kind of chilled out. Now, Bully was selling it. Bully Ray was absolutely selling it. But the funny thing was, you guys were messaging me about this stuff at the Hall of Fame. Some guy got a live update on his phone that Bret Hart had been attacked. It tells everybody in our section, and we're all like, "What? What's going on?" I think I messaged one of you guys. It was like, "What's happening at the Hall of Fame?" Daggone, if no time after that, Enzo and Big Cass jumped the rail.
See, that's why I'm wondering if it was decided on the fly. Hey, we need to do this. We need to strike
they
while the kettle's hot.
If they did that, if Bully made that decision on the fly or somebody, it was brilliance on whoever did it, because the whole place exploded.
I got to call Tim Cross back. He just tried to call and I missed him.
Wait, something I got to say really quick about the Bret Hart thing is I didn't watch it live on the network, but I was amazed at how they edited that out.
Hey, Tim, hang on 1 second, brother.
All right.
Go ahead, bro.
I said I was amazed how they edited that out of the Bret Hart speech. I don't know if you guys watched it live and it happened live on the network or not, but I know if you watched it back, they edited it out perfect. The only thing that changed was his hair.
Yeah.
It was like all of a sudden his hair was messed up, and you were like,
All right, what's up, Tim? How you doing, brother?
How we doing?
Pretty good, man. Sorry I missed your call,
Tim.
brother.
Oh, it's fine. I understand you were rambling.
Hey, right, you get it. What's up, man?
That's what we do.
I just have to say, Steve, you were on a roll tonight.
Hey, I'm still hyped up from 15 hours of live pro wrestling. 3 days, brother. I'm telling you.
Oh, you are? You were hyped up?
I'm still hyped up.
Hey, if you want to take another road trip this weekend, I'll go ahead and put it over since Tim's on the line. There's some pretty awesome couple days worth of wrestling going on this weekend in Cleveland, Ohio. Just saying.
Yeah, I hear there's some asshole doing some crazy show. But yeah, the whole thing was steroids. I had to call in about this.
Okay.
Steroids are just like anything else. If you mistreat them, they will mistreat you. If you are cool with them and use them the way they are meant to be, you don't get hurt.
Are you advocating for steroids, Tim?
I'm not saying you should do them. I'm just saying that they can be fine if you do them correctly, just like anything else.
I'll tell you what, I've had many steroid shots in the ass when I was sick to help me get back on my feet. I can see what you're saying there, but I don't know if I necessarily...
Hey, all I'm saying, a couple shots in the ass never hurt anybody.
Maybe not, but it's killed some people.
No,
you know what I'm saying?
But how are you guys not... How did we not bring up Muda at all?
What's that about Muda?
How did we not bring up Muda at all? He was in the Battle Royal. We had Muda versus Liger at one point this weekend, literally in America, and no one talked about it.
Tim, I love you, dog, but do you have any idea how much wrestling was on this past week? There's no way we could get to all of it, bro.
Are you kidding me? You talked about Tori Wilson.
Yeah, I did, because I watched the Hall of Fame and it was entertaining to me. That was one of the.
Yeah, and she looked worse than the buzzard thing that came out of the box. So what are you talking about? When you got Muda and Liger in the same ring at the same time in America, and we're going to talk about Tori Wilson.
Well, I knew you was going to call in and talk about Muda and Liger.
You know, he's got a point. He's got a point.
Shut up, Brian. Shut up, Brian. Me and Tim's talking.
Wow.
Hey, yeah, Covey's got creative control of the show, folks, in case that's not evident by us talking about Frank Wilson or whatever his name was tonight instead of the great Muda and Jushin Thunder Liger who tore the house down. I mean, Madison Square Garden freaking exploded.
Oh my God! It was a tear. I shed a tear when I saw Liger. When I saw Muda coming out, I got legit emotional.
You weren't the only one, man. I'm telling you, the whole joint, 20,000 people lost their minds.
Tim, out of all the wrestling you consumed this past week, bro, would that be your pro?
My pro?
Yeah. Would that be your pro?
And my con is anything that contains nudity this weekend.
Oh my God, it was ridiculous. It was
like
I seen this one thing. There was a guy on top rope.
Why the heck is a naked moonsault cool?
I don't know. And I seen this one thing where this guy had his pants around his ankles, and he was sitting on the top rope, and the other guy was in a tree of woe type scenario, and his pants were down around. I was like, "What the hell is this?" And
they were patty caking their nutsacks.
Yeah, what the hell?
Patty caking butt cheeks.
Why?
This is where Joey Ryan takes you, folks. Now, Tim Cross and I may disagree about whether or not steroids are a gateway drug, but I'm telling you that Joey Ryan is the gateway drug to butt cheeks patty caking on a tree of woe in a corner in a wrestling match. It doesn't lead anywhere good.
Joey Ryan is the worst thing that's ever happened to wrestling.
He's close.
Tim,
if he ain't the worst, he's close.
Tim, that is
in a long run. In a long run,
it's giving Joey Ryan a run for his money, but
he's taking money from people just to touch his dick. He is having people's butt cheeks touching each other and doing naked moonsaults during shows. I'm sorry, but that is the worst crap. I'm really trying not to cuss here.
Yeah, you're
the worst crap.
Brother, preach, because you are spot on. What troubles me, Tim, are the numbers. Now, granted, they aren't great, but it's the numbers of idiots who will pay money to watch that garbage.
Oh yeah, they just turn around and go, "What? It's wrestling. It's entertainment. It's entertaining me." No, yeah, it's entertaining you because you're an idiot.
Right.
And I was very glad to hear the owners and the promoters and all the people associated with the MLW. And the only reason why Cornette is even associated with MLW, his first question to them is, "Are you presenting sport or entertainment?" And they call their wrestlers fighters. They have different weight classes, and they absolutely present MLW as a fight, at wrestling as a sport. And I'm not going to talk any kind of inside baseball or anything like that, but I don't think Joey Ryan and his likes have a place in MLW.
What kills me the most about Joey Ryan is he's an okay wrestler. Why do you got to do this dumb shit too?
He never
he couldn't get over as an okay wrestler.
Get over as a mediocre.
Makes sense.
He could not get over as a mediocre wrestler, and
correct.
So he had to start going to gimmicks like this. Derek sent around that match of him and poor Tessa Blanchard, and I can't wait until Tessa Blanchard gets to somewhere decent that appreciates.
Hold on a second. What if we do a butt smacking with Tessa Blanchard and
Scarlett Bordeaux?
There you go. Would that be okay?
No, because first of all,
shut up, Tim. You're ruining my fantasy.
It's not a wrestling match.
You can buy that on the Playboy Network.
Right, or go back and watch Glow.
No, all jokes aside, I'm just cutting up. That's ridiculous. My wrestling has no place for that at all.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Like, I just that is just absolutely aggravating. But yes, MLW is very good about making the sport the entertaining part and not having. And also, by the way, just so everybody knows, MLW has bookers, not writers.
Yes, MLW. See, Brian, that's the difference. And Tim's exactly right. MLW has bookers. They book the matches. They book the endings. A lot of the guys call their stuff in the ring. Harry is really happy there. Pillman Jr. is really happy there. Teddy Hart's really happy there. LaParca Sr. and LaParca Jr. I just got to say this while I got Tim on the phone, too. LaParca Sr. got over this weekend, brother, at MLW. He won their big battle riot. He won his solo match. They did it like 2 shows. They did a TV taping that lasted about an hour and a half or 2 hours, and then they went live on BN Sports. But man, it was entertaining. It was really great.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we have to move on, gentlemen. Before I let you go, though, Tim, tell these guys a little bit about your show this weekend, bro.
Oh, this weekend, it's a 2-day event. It's called the Battle of Cleveland. It is for the first ever RSW Heritage title. And it's a 16-man event. The first round is 4 ways. And then the second round after that is 1-on-1. And the final is a 1-on-1. The second and finals, the semifinals and finals will be on Saturday. The main event of Saturday is Chavo Guerrero versus Teddy Hart.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
And the main event for Friday night is Jock Sampson versus Andrew Palace for the RSW championship.
Wow, you got a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, that is fantastic. Tim, I'm going to get up and see you soon. John and I will road trip up and see you real soon.
Would love it. We also have the Jim Nasty Boys versus the Hart Foundation on Friday night as well.
That should be good.
All right, you give the Hart Foundation my love. I hung out with those guys after the MLW show on Friday night. I'm telling you, Harry Smith, I have never met a nicer young man in my life. He is the real deal.
Oh yeah.
All right, Tim, we're going to hop off, brother. Appreciate you calling in, bro.
Ramble
All right,
on,
guys,
Tim.
have a good day. Ramble.
All right, guys, let's move.
It's 8:20. We haven't done our talk.
No, let's see if there's anything else I really got to touch on here. It's rumored that Pete Dunne may be coming to Raw or SmackDown soon. Here's a little EC3 news, Brian. He's possibly getting a manager before SmackDown Live show. EC3 came to the ring with Drake Maverick as his manager. Little rock star spud, EC3.
I would rather see. I'd rather see Mandy be his manager, but
Mandy.
Yeah, Mandy Rose.
Yes.
Need to get her out of the ring.
Women's Battle Royal. Your lady won it.
Yeah, Carmella. Mella is money.
And they swerved. Everybody thought it was going to be Sarah Logan. Sarah Logan thought she had won the match, and then.
All right, real quick, gentlemen, let's bounce around the table. We told you guys we were going to talk about this. There's been so much wrestling going on, we haven't got a lot of time. So I figured this would be a good topic to talk about this week, kind of get it in, get it out quick. Steve, since you are the elder of the group, I want to go ahead and let you start, bro. What was your first live wrestling experience like, and do you remember it, or was it kind of just blurred?
No. I remember it like it was yesterday because I'd been a wrestling fan about a year. Exactly. And I used to get so excited when Georgia Championship Wrestling on WTBS would advertise that they were coming to places like Williamson and Logan, West Virginia, which were the closest towns to where I grew up in Gilbert. And it was in June of '82, and the card was Michael P.S. Hayes and Bad Leroy Brown versus Big John Studd and the Super Destroyer. You had Kevin Sullivan on that card, Mr. Wrestling, Mr. Wrestling 2 versus Buzz Sawyer, the Mad Dog, and Tommy Rich versus the Superstar. And in the main event, it was Dusty Rhodes versus the Great Kabuki.
Wow, that's a hell of a first show, man.
It was a hell of a first show. Logan, West Virginia, there was about 500 or 600 people in the Logan Field House, and it was on fire. And Wildfire Tommy
packed to the rafters, huh?
Packed to the rafters in the Logan Field House. And Tommy Rich hit. And for those of you who aren't old enough, we used to have these do-it-yourself T-shirts. You couldn't buy a lot of merch in the late 70s, early 80s, so you made your own.
Sure.
You just went and got a baseball-type jersey, and you had the guy down at the local T-shirt shop put Wildfire across your T-shirt.
Yeah.
Every chick in that joint was wild over Tommy Rich. Tommy Rich was over, brother, on Georgia Championship Wrestling. This was right after his shortest ever 4-day NWA Heavyweight Championship title run. They put the title on him for 4 days, and I believe did nothing but take photos of him holding the NWA belt so they could call him a former heavyweight champion. But what a great first wrestling experience, though. It just blew me away.
That's an amazing first show. Really is.
Yeah.
Mine, wasn't quite that level. Brian, I'm gonna go ahead and throw mine out, and then I'll have you throw yours out. For me,
Can we throw mine out right now?
No, I'm gonna go ahead and throw mine out because yours is probably cooler than mine. Mine's kind of lame. Well, it's not lame. It's just not very memorable to me. I remember going to watch WCW house show when I was probably 12, 13 years old in Charleston, West Virginia. This is when, I could be wrong about the age, but this is when Sting was real big, coming out of the rafters. And I remember the whole time I was there, I was looking up at the rafters. Sting gonna come down. It's gonna be awesome. I can't remember who else was on the card. I just remember I was watching for Sting that whole night.
Was this during the Monday Night War period in 97 or something?
Yeah, 96, 97.
Yeah.
But the first wrestling show I really remember was independent show, APW in Oak Hill, West Virginia, back before Brian Logan beat up an old woman. I used to go over there and watch shows. The first time I ever went over there and watched a show, the main event was the Bad Boys versus Spider Crowley and Johnny Blast. And I knew in my head what I was doing. I can't remember the guy's name, but one of the Bad Boys thought I was a crazy fan. They were brawling outside of the ring and get out of my way and all this, doing the wrestler thing. I grabbed a folded chair and picked it up. Come on! And I could see it in his eyes. He's like, this little son of a bitch about to hit me. And of course, it died down, and he went back in the ring to his thing. But that was very memorable to me. Brian, what do you got, brother?
Well, you know me. I always come with two when you ask me for one. So I've got one that is a series of experiences, and one that is like my first big experience. And I'll go with my first big experience first, which is August 21st, 1993. Watching WCW at the Charleston Civic Center. I'm with my little brother, and we go out to the Charleston Civic Center. The matches are great. We get to see Nikita Koloff versus Big Van Vader. Mm-hmm. We get to see Ravishing Rick Rude versus Kensuke Sasaki for the United States title. We get to see Sting versus the Barbarian in the main event. Then Steve Austin was on that card. Mankind was on that card, Cactus Jack was on that card. It was a great show. Got to see all kinds of people. Got to see some. It was the experience though for me was I remember my mom brought me those tickets and she was like, "We got tickets to the show." I was so excited, so I go there. And my mom had brought me all these poster boards and these markers so I could make signs, because I always talked about how I'd like to make signs for a wrestling show because I'd never been to one. And so I made my first and probably I think only wrestling sign ever, which said "Rick Rude is God" on the sign. Now I'm like 12. I'd say I'm probably like 11 at the time, so 11, maybe 12. I don't know, but I wrote Rick Rude is God on this sign, and I had it, and I was right by the gate where they come out, and Rick Rude's seen my sign, and he takes my sign from me, hands it to Medusa, and then does the hip swirl right there, and then gives me back my sign. And my sign was actually touched by Rick Rude, which was the highlight of my little life at that time.
And it would. Austin Idol, who's a friend of mine, and I sponsor his podcast and stuff, but Austin Idol, I think, got a little mad at me that I said Rick Rude was my favorite heel of all time. And he's like, "Hey, Steve, dude, why is Rick Rude your favorite heel of all time, man?" I said, any man that put another man's wife on the cock in the front part of his tights, brother, that's a heel in my book right there.
Absolutely.
I mean, he is
the greatest heel of all time.
I think he was the greatest heel of all. What I'd like to have right now
is for all you fat, out of shape West Virginia warthogs. He said that. He said that in the ring that night, and I'll never forget it. But there was another part of that show that stands out to me. Not only did I get to slap hands with Sting, but I also got to slap hands with Nikita Koloff. And it was a time when they weren't as hardcore on the kids as far as where they ran. So when the wrestlers came out, everybody ran to the rails. And we were there. We were there to run to the rails every single time and slap hands, and it was awesome. But there was this one part where the rails ended before the entrance started. So there was a little section of space where you could almost go backstage if you really wanted to. And there was no one standing there. And I could clearly see that one of my favorite wrestlers and another man that I was kind of afraid of were standing there talking to each other. And I was looking at my little brother and I'm like, Robbie, look, they're stunning Steve Austin and Cactus Jack. So I walk over there. Now I guess I'm pretty ballsy at this point. And I walk over there to introduce myself to stunning Steve Austin and tell him how he's one of my favorite wrestlers. And we go over there, me and my little brother, because I made my little brother come with me, even though he was terrified of Cactus Jack. And they actually talked to us. Now, at the time, they're both heels. So they really should have been rude to us and sent us on our way. But they weren't. They were super nice to us. And my little brother told Cactus Jack that he wanted to arm wrestle him. So Cactus Jack arm wrestles my little brother right there and lets my little brother beat him.
Wow.
And then Steve Austin arm wrestles my little brother and lets my little brother beat him.
And this is when you come in from behind with a steel chair, right?
Right. Funny story.
And then I am jealous. I'm jealous. So I'm like, I want to arm wrestle you, Steve Austin. So he arm wrestles me and beats me. And beats me in front of my little brother after my little brother had just beat him.
That's amazing.
A funny story. I likewise went back to close to where the wrestlers were because in the girls' locker room was the heels, and in the boys' locker room were the faces. And I went back there, and I don't know why the angle or why you could see it or whatever. Michael Hayes was on the potty. Somebody opens the door. We're all a bunch of kids standing there looking. He's like, close the damn door out there. It's Michael Hayes. He's got his wrestling robe like around him.
Oh, wow.
But he's on. You could clearly see that he was on the pot. So I've seen a free bird poop, Brian.
Wow. You know what? And then John's going to hate me because I'm going to have to throw in a third one here.
This guy.
There was a time when I went to Fayetteville to see Nikita Koloff, or no, not Nikita Koloff, Ivan Koloff versus Nikolai Volkov in a Russian chain match. And the Honky Tonk Man was there. And we had backstage passes because my mom worked in Fayetteville and was able to get these backstage passes. So we got to go backstage and meet the Honky Tonk Man. Well, the Honky Tonk Man, he's talking to all of us, and he's like, well, you guys want to meet Nikolai Volkov? And we're like, yeah. And he's like, he's right in here. And he opens the door to this room where Nikolai Volkov is. And there he stands butt naked in the shower.
Brian told
and he
that
starts
story
screaming.
When Volkov died last year.
Yeah, he starts screaming.
I love that story, man.
Yeah, and we shut the door. But, yeah, we seen Nikolai Volkov butt naked.
All right, I want one more story before we get ready to shut her down. But I'm not telling. I'm just going to have you tell the Ramblers your Dusty Rhodes cell phone story.
Yeah, a few years ago, in 2009, in August of 2009, Greg Price has put on these really great wrestling fan fests, Mid-Atlantic Fan Fests in Charlotte in August. And there's another company kind of taking that over now. But anyway, this was my second or third trip to Charlotte to see fans. And one is where I met Cornette, and we talked about studying the case in law school. And in this one, Dusty's there, and he's the guest of, like, I think High Spots or somebody had him down there, and he's selling voicemail messages for $50. He'll record your voicemail for you on your phone for $50. So I go up, hi Dream, nice to meet you. My hero, I love you, greatest talker ever. He's like, yep, and I give him $50, and he takes my phone, and he does the whole pork and beans and king and queens. It's lived in our valleys and eat pork and beans. And so he does that whole spiel and a bunch of his greatest lines. And I'm standing there, and I'm like, tell him who you are. He goes, hey, hey, they know who the I am. He says the F word right there. So my voicemail message ended with, yeah, they know who the F I am. I never did get his name on there. So you got the whole spiel of all of Dusty's greatest lines ending with, they know who the F I am. Guys, I met a hero this weekend. And for those of you who are too young, these are affectionately referred to as the Apter. Speaking of, there's Freebird, Michael Hayes, with a bottle of Jack Daniels, along with Kerry Von Erich, who I believe is the greatest natural athlete that's ever stepped in a wrestling ring. Okay. I honestly believe that. And it's a Pro Wrestling Illustrated with Mil Mascaras. And you could write to him and tell him how you didn't want him to retire. And that would move an 11-year-old kid.
Sure.
You have to write a letter to Mil Mascaras. Bill Apter is a legend in the wrestling business. And if you were a fan in the 80s, The Wrestler, Inside Wrestling, and Pro Wrestling Illustrated were your magazines. This is where you got all of the information. And usually if a guy or a tag team was moving from one territory to the other.
This was your dirt sheets before the internet.
But they're not. There's no dirt.
Well,
there's no inside baseball.
Storyline stuff.
It's storyline stuff. Yeah. Exactly. If somebody wanted, and they had a top 10. Speaking of superstar Billy Graham, right in that one, and it would give you little bios, like they would ask, close up, favorite maneuver, greatest match, most hated opponent, toughest opponent, and stuff like that. It was just fantastic. So I got to meet and spend a little bit of time with Bill Apter.
No kidding.
This weekend, who was the editor-in-chief of these wrestling magazines. And I bought him a shirt. He shows up at the WrestleCon table, at the merch
I thought
table.
you were going to tell me you give him the Royal Ramble shirt off your back.
I did not give him. I saved that to Mania Day.
I got you.
But he didn't have money on him. Hey, I don't have my wallet on me. You guys are almost out of the Subway shirts. I want one. And he kind of turns, and I was like, give Bill Apter whatever he wants. And I got to buy Bill Apter a WrestleCon T-shirt. And he's like, look, let me come up, let me autograph your book, and let's hang out for a few minutes. And that was one of the highlights of a highlight-filled weekend for me. I got to have a beer with Dan the Beast Severn. I got to hang with the Tonga Kid and Rikishi and Marlena. Marlena at Kevin Nash's party.
Miss Terry Reynolds. Did Kevin Nash show up? Was he there?
Kevin was there. He was blocked off by security, though. He didn't talk to anybody.
Really?
Now, Billy Gunn's party was Friday night, and that's where me and Pillman Jr. and Harry, James Storm was already there. Bully Ray was already there. That was a fun party. Billy Gunn's family.
You know how I told you earlier that I would have been stuck in the parking lot at Mania?
Yeah.
That's not true. I'd probably still be at Billy Gunn's party Friday night. Catch me on the ride back home Sunday night or Monday morning.
Right. Yes, sir.
How's Marlena holding up?
She looks great. She probably looks better than she did back in the day because she's not tanning too much. Her hair is natural. Terry's very, very attractive still. The beautiful people. And I got to say this because you guys know how much I love blondes. Scarlett Bordeaux
Swing
from Impact. Oh, my goodness. Was just the sweetest gal and just so nice. But, man, this weekend was like a dream. The buddy of mine that I'm doing the big case with down in Texas got us, access to a lot of folks that we wouldn't have normally, and it was
I can't believe that you was totally glossing over the fact that you met Bill Apter and hung out with him. That's amazing, man.
Yeah. No, I wasn't glossing.
I'm saying I didn't know until the show just now. Is what I'm saying. Yeah. Because
I met and got to talk to so many people this week. Where do you start? When you start on Friday evening, when you get into I didn't even go to my hotel. I went straight from the airport because they were both in Queens. I went straight from the airport straight to the MLW show.
Wow.
And Cornette walks in and he says, I hate New York. And he came up and he hugged me and he's like, I can't wait to get back to Kentucky and West Virginia. He's like, I hate this freaking place. I was like,
that's corny for you.
That's corny for you.
As a matter of fact, you guys could see Corny this weekend there in West Virginia.
Woo-hoo!
Tell them about that, Steve.
ASW show, guys. It's Wrong graphic, John.
Sorry. Freaking producer.
This weekend is fantastic. Gary's got tickets sold, and we've been airing the TV ads on cable through Sudden Link. We've got tickets sold from like 13 different states. Folks coming in from as far away as Colorado. But Pillman Jr. is on this card. You got the Smoky Mountain Legends match, Woody Numbers Battle Royal.
Smokey C is going to be in that. I seen Smokey C going to be in that.
Yep. And you've got the an 8-man tag main event. And then, of course, the Midnight Express 35th anniversary tour. Hustler Rip Rogers inducting them into the ASW Hall of Fame. They should be in a Wrestling Hall of Fame. Isn't a Hall of Fame if it doesn't have, in my opinion, the greatest heel tag team of all time. I mean, they were just perfection, regardless of which unit it was. And Cornette's, probably the greatest talker. He's right up there with Heenan, in my opinion, for talkers in this business. But it's going to be a great show. Come down to Madison. Bell time 7 p.m. Gary's iCloud. Gary Dameron at iCloud is the PayPal to buy tickets. So come down and join us this weekend. It's going to be a heck of a great show.
And Friday night, my buddies over at WVCW is going to be in Bluefield putting on a show.
That looks like a great show,
They always do great over there. A guy by the name of Stuart Snodgrass, he's hilarious. Of course, Garrett Coleman is a good friend of mine. He's going to be on there. They always do great work over there. And then, of course, Real Shoot in Cleveland Friday and Saturday. If you guys are in the Cleveland area this weekend, go check Real Shoot Wrestling out. They always do a great job. And then you got PWI doing their thing in Parkersburg this Saturday. So plenty of wrestling going on here, just here in West Virginia and Cleveland. I know Cleveland's not West Virginia, but Real Shoot
Still
is
easy
from.
drive.
Oh, sure, it's not bad at all. But yeah, that's a little bit about what's going on there. Next week here on the Royal Ramble, hopefully Derek will be back in studio. Hopefully Steve will be back here.
Can't wait to talk to Derek a little more about the New Japan Ring of Honor.
You're going to make his day. I hate that Ben wasn't here tonight.
I do too. It was just really, really high quality wrestling. Those Japanese guys absolutely can go.
And they lay it in. That's what I like about them.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks legit. Far too often, and especially in WWE, it's kind of it's soft and it's kind of going through the motions a lot of the time.
Jay Lethal lost in that ladder match, and I don't know whether you can see it or not. They hooked two ladders together in an X, and it rolled out of the ring and busted a fan right in the face.
Where's my check at?
And it's exactly right. So the owner, he gets up and he runs over to where the guy was and like checking on him, and you okay, buddy? And
here's
just
tickets
like
for life,
Derek
buddy.
said in real time, Derek said, "Oh man, that guy's going to get to go backstage." They came back, ushered him backstage. And I'm sure he got all kinds of merch.
Was it like Joey Mercury hitting the face with a ladder? Remember that?
Yeah, no, it was more like a glancing blow. But anyway, the MSG crowd erupted in. That's a lawsuit. That's a lawsuit.
Brian, next week's topic.
I hated Jay Lethal lost the title, though.
Next week's topic, Brian, I believe that you're going to have a lot of fun with. I'm anxious to find out your pick. And before I even put this graphic up on the screen, no, you cannot pick the faction. Next week, what was the best triple threat match of all time?
Faction.
Triple threat, ECW, man. Come on now.
Are we talking the faction triple threat or three wrestlers
in a match?
In a match.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about.
Three wrestlers in a match.
Yes, triple threat match or triangle match, however you want to call it.
All right. Well, I mean,
Three ways.
I already
see
know
how
mine.
that could be interpreted as the triple threat
Well, look
versus some other.
That's what I said, yeah, but look what it says. It says, what was the best triple threat match?
I'm just giving you a bit.
I know you are. You trying to make me talk so I sound dumber than what I already said.
Actually, you just said the topic, and then I thought I had my pick, and then another one entered my brain,
Exactly.
and then another one entered my brain. So I'm probably going to have four.
I'm going to cut him
Just
off
saying.
next week, Steve. I'm going to cut his ass off next week.
I think there's only one.
You cut me off this week. I had a great Smoky Mountain Wrestling story to tell, but forget it.
Tell it next week after we have the proclamations presented to
We'll
Tracy
run out of
Smothers,
time.
Brian Logan, and fabulous one, Bobby
Yes.
Fulton.
I'll tell you what I'm excited about in 2 weeks. Not next week, but in 2 weeks.
Easter.
It's actually my birthday, Steve. It's Easter week, but it's my birthday, April 24th. For my birthday, I want to have the Cuban Assassin, Richie Acevedo, versus Derek Jones for the Royal Rumble Championship to see who is the smartest wrestling fan out there. Notice that I'm not in this matchup because I'll let you guys figure out why. But that is going to happen in 2 weeks. Next week is
Nepotism and cronyism?
I don't know what the hell that means, but sure. Let's see. Kenny Dunn says, hey, John Covey Cole, how do I get to be an in-house guest on the show? Message me, bro. We'll talk about it. If you can pass all the criteria and bring me some steroids for my butt.
Bring back Rich quick.
Bring back Rich quick. I know I put him
Rich told you.
I put him in the intro, Sean. I don't know where he's at.
Sean, I love you. Rich said if you didn't put him in the intro,
he's in.
leaving.
He's in.
It's a day late and $1 short.
The large print giveth.
And the small print taketh away.
Brian, you got any final thoughts before we get out of here, bro?
I do not. I'm about to go and watch Tori Wilson's speech since I fast forwarded through it.
Ow.
And Tim Cross liked it so much. I think
don't go
out.
watch that just because of me. I feel like I've put it up on a pedestal. You're going to go watch it, and you're not going to be pleased, and you're going to give me a hard time about it.
The most poignant comment of the evening, I believe, is Brian's point about WrestleMania, and that is the expectations were low because the build-up wasn't great.
They delivered.
So they could deliver. I just believe a lot of times the build-up's so great that you get felt let down just a little bit. And Brian said, well, they pulled it out of their butt at the last minute. They may have. But, man, it was good. It was a great, great weekend of wrestling.
That wrestling fandom I was talking about earlier, whenever Braun Strowman come out on SmackDown to get with Joe, and Joe got him in the coquina clutch, I was like, put him to sleep. Put him to sleep. That'd be amazing. Just put him to sleep. And then, of course, they did the babyface thing and all this and that. But
yeah.
It was almost cool.
That didn't hurt Joe any, though.
Tim Cross says you don't like buzzards, Brian, so you won't like her either. Tori Wilson.
Yeah, well, I didn't, but I have to totally disagree with Tim Cross on the fact that she looked worse than the buzzard. I mean, she may not look like she used to look, but she's still hotter than to be with Billy Kidman.
Yeah, she went from David Flair to Billy Kidman.
Woo!
Was Tori with David Flair? I thought that was Stacy Keibler.
I thought it was Tori Wilson.
There's one.
No, Stacy Keibler was with David Flair.
Somebody Google that for us before next week.
Yeah.
Here's what I know. Now, maybe Tori Wilson was with David Flair too, but Stacy Keibler and David Flair were in an actual relationship in WCW. And a lot of people say that David Flair's career went south when Stacy Keibler dumped him.
Broke his heart, man.
Mm-hmm.
Broke his heart.
She left him for George Clooney. No, she left him for Test. That was the next boyfriend, I think.
Yeah. Man, it's taking me back to a time that I can't really discuss on this show. But that Blue Chew we referenced earlier. Nah, guys, that's all the time we got for today. We've been here for a long time. For Steve New, Brian Resner, Derek Jones, Rich Quick, wherever the hell they're at. I'm John Covey Cole, guys. Until next week, ramble on.